Welcome to Algebra 1. We are going to start off with a chapter called Chapter 0, which is a little bit of a crash course of review from Math 7. So our first lesson in Algebra 1 here is a plan for problem solving. And so with this, you have your 4-step plan. Number 1, you understand. Number 2 is plan. Number 3 is solve. And number 4 is check. So your understand step. What you want to do here is you want to read the problem carefully. You want to identify what information is given for you, and then you want to identify what it is that you need to find. So what is that question asking you? Step 2, plan. So one possible strategy that you can use is writing an equation. And there's multiple different strategies that you can use, but here in algebra we are going to write an equation. So a vocabulary word that you need to know is define the variable. And when you define a variable, what you are doing is you are choosing a variable to represent one of the unspecified numbers in the problem. And if this is kind of hard for you to understand, we're going to really go through it once we start solving problems. But when you hear define a variable, you want to pick a variable to represent something that you don't know what it is. And then you want to use that variable to write an expression for the other unspecified numbers in the problem. Then you solve. You use the plan that you made to solve that problem that you have. And if your plan doesn't work, you need to revise it or make a new plan and start over. And then you check. So does your answer make sense in the context of the original problem? Does it fit the information in the problem? So for example, if you're making cookies, if you're making 20 cookies and you come up with the answer that you need 200 pounds of flour, something went wrong there. You don't need 200 pounds of flour for 20 cookies. That kind of thing. So one example for you is it says Link's hallway is 10 feet long and 4 feet wide. He paid $200 to tile his hallway floor. How much did Link pay per square tile? So first thing we're going to do is we need to figure out what we want to solve. And so what it is that we're looking for is how much he paid per square tile. Things that we know, I'm going to use a different highlighter color here. We know it's 10 feet long by 4 feet wide. And he paid $200 for the whole thing. So to write that out, we're going to go, we need to know the square footage of his hallway. The square footage of the hallway is the area of the hallway. So we need our 10 times 4. I'm not even going to write this out because we know 10 times 4 is 40. Okay, so our square footage is 40. Our total price, right? He paid $200 for the whole hallway. We want to know how much it costs per tile, right? So there's 40 tiles at whatever cost per tile to get us to $200. So our variable goes here with the 40. And I'm just going to use x because I don't really like the variable t because it looks like a plus sign. So 40x, so 40 tiles at whatever cost equals $200. Now we're going to solve. We want to get our variable all by itself. So we're going to do the opposite of whatever the function is. We're going to do PEMDAS backwards. So 40x, we are going to divide by the coefficient. Is that something that you remember? Because it should be what you do to one side, you do to the other. Those numbers cancel each other out, and we get x equals 5. And that would be $5. So when we solve this, it's telling us that it costs $5 per square tile. Let's go back in and check and make sure that makes sense. $5 per tile? Yeah, it sounds pretty legit. Let's plug it into our problem. So 40, we're replacing x with 5. 40 times 5 is 200. So that sounds pretty solid to me. And $5 would be our answer there for that problem. And you can go ahead and try this one on your own, or you can walk through with me, whichever one you feel most comfortable doing. So here it says Emily's family drove 254.6 miles. Their car used 19 gallons of gasoline. Describe the car's gas mileage. Okay, so we want to know the car's gas mileage. So when you are talking gas mileage, what is it that you want to know? You want to know how many miles per gallon you get. So we're looking for miles per gallon. That's what we're searching for in this problem. They drove 254 miles on 19 gallons of gas. We want to know how many they get for 1 gallon of gas. So we want to know question mark, right? What should I do instead of a question mark? Define the variable. So we want to use a variable. So I'm just going to keep using x because that's, algebra's favorite variable. And we want however many miles it is per 1 gallon. And I'm going to even put x miles. We'll give it a label. Now what I can do over here is, we got 254.6 miles to 19 gallons. Looking at this problem, what can I do here? Oh yeah, cross multiply and divide. So we're going to multiply here. 254.6 times 1 is just 254.6. And that will equal 19 times 1, or 19 times x, is 19x. Because we don't know what that variable stands for. And now, get the x by itself. Divide by your coefficient. And 254.6 divided by 19 is 13.4 miles per gallon. And what we're going to do in this case to check if it makes sense is we're just going to kind of round our numbers and try it that way. So I'm going to go, 254.6, and I'm going to go 260, right? 19, we can round that to 20. I know 20 goes into 260. 14 times. Is 14 and 13.4 pretty close? Sure is. So we're just going to go, this is a solid answer. And we're going to stick with our 13.4 miles per gallon.